Last week we broke episode 1. That was let's call it the IG Live debut. And of course, last Sunday is when I had broke my fast. It was a 7-day water only fast, and I decided to break my fast on live. And so you guys got to see me do that. Broke it with some orange juice. It's been a week since, and I've been feeling great. I'm still sort of. I find it unbelievable, like how much better I feel just overall, just energy levels wise, my gut wise. Like I feel comfortable. I didn't realize how much of a lingering uncomfortableness I had in my gut. So I think whatever bacteria that was really hard to get rid of has been eradicated, just because of how I feel overall. So it's been a great week. Been a great week since, thank God. Fasting was just one of those, and it's part of a larger and broader type of discussion that I hope to have with you guys throughout, which is touching upon health, and the benefits of fasting, for example, but also sort of the mental benefits of doing those sort of challenges and those other, and the other things and the other ways that you can express how you want to go about proving yourself, which was partially what was one of the reasons why I did the fast, and I explained that last week. How do you feel after fasting? So like I said, I feel wonderful. I feel great. I feel energized. That brain fog that I would just continuously feel, it just feels like it's totally eradicated. I had crazy cravings, even though the volume of food that I would eat was for the most part nutritious in nature with veggies and proteins and all that sort of stuff. The cravings were still there, and they were like over the top. Those are no longer the case. I don't have crazy cravings. I don't have any cravings. So I think besides whatever bacteria or fungus was potentially in my gut, I also think that's partially due to resetting my palate. My weight, by the way, so I had lost 15 pounds. Remember this, I wasn't in it for the weight loss, but naturally burning fat, losing water weight, you're going to lose weight. I lost 15 pounds. I've only gained 5 back. I hear so many stories about people gaining it right back, like all of a sudden, and that's probably due to how they broke the fast. That's why breaking that fast was so key. I mean, I spent the next several days, leading myself up to today, which I had a glorious feast. It was some venison, but to kind of like to get where I was today, to eat that sort of meat and get to a point where I can really enjoy it, I had to work my way there. So, the day after the break, which was last Sunday, Monday and Tuesday, I just drank fruit juice. All day Monday, half day Tuesday, the latter part of Tuesday, just had veggie soup. None of the physical stuff, just veggie soup. So just veggies that were boiled and just had the broth from it. Just had that, of course, water. And then the next day, in the morning, again, or the first half of the day, veggie soup as well, and then had some pumpkin soup or some squash soup towards the end of the day. So it was a much thicker soup, much richer. So I was kind of gradually progressing from the juices to the veggie soup to a thicker soup, and then making my way 4 days after the break towards something solid. So and there were veggies, right? So salad. And I had what else? I had some salad for the most part. So that was like the first things that I got to chew on was like 4 days after the fact. And so then today it all culminated with getting venison. And I don't think I've ever had venison before, but the reason why I decided on venison was because while I was fasting, I had plenty of time to do additional research. I had a lot of time on my hands to fill. So I learned that there were several meats that were more nutrient dense than some of the ones that we commonly come across, like chicken or beef. So like venison, lamb, which is something I had already incorporated commonly into my diet, lamb, and bison. When I have meat, I'm going to try to really focus around that. And so decided on venison, which is considered the most nutrient dense meat, and it was delicious. So besides the physical, the mental bacteria, the brain fog, but also even just the appreciation, and that kind of leads into that topic about my outlook on food. I mean, it was really a treat, something I really look forward to, and so this meal in particular was a lot more special than just like, oh my God, I can't wait to have meat. It's like, I've been anticipating it, I've earned this, and there's a certain amount of respect and appreciation that goes into it that made that meal a lot more worthwhile. The same went for coffee. You know, I had drank coffee. Man, I mean, my history in coffee has been like, you know, I'm a former Wall Street guy, and so I mean, espresso by the ton in my early 20s, all day, every day. I mean, it's crazy when I look back how much espresso I drank. It's a ridiculous amount. I mean, there's so many coffee shops in New York City, but you couldn't help it. The point is that it became more than just something I enjoyed. It was something I needed. It was something I depended on. I counted on. I looked forward to it immediately as soon as I woke up. And I realized there's something unhealthy about that. And even if you want to tell me that the health benefits of coffee, I mean, we can go back and forth on benefits. I'm not here to argue benefits. My issue here was it seemed as if the coffee or the coffee really had the control over me, and I needed to know if that was really the case. And so that was part of a big reason why it was a water only fast. I also wanted to get off coffee. Not only that, but I knew it was probably making some additional damage to my gut, and it wasn't helping. So along with me, I also changed my outlook on coffee, where I'm like, I want to reserve that for special times, for once a week. I mean, I'll find an excuse for that week when I'm meeting up with a friend, or perhaps, for a Sunday morning, stroll to a new coffee shop. I'm not sure, but really reserve it for something I can look forward to. And when I have it, I really, really appreciate it. Right, so how do you look at food differently now? These are examples, meat, coffee as like treats, right? Nothing against meat, nothing like that, but I also thought about it in a sense that, the history books can tell us a lot of different things. I wasn't there in whatever they call as like ancestral times or whatnot, but my thought process is that on a daily basis, as man went out in search of food or resources, the idea of like taking down a very large animal on a daily basis, I mean, just didn't seem like something that probably happened. I don't think it really did, and if it did, it wasn't common. Probably more often than not, as they're traversing the plains or whatnot, they're coming across berries and nuts and plants and veggies and fruits and things like that, and that's probably what constitutes the majority of their diet. And so I thought I'd take a similar approach. And right or wrong is, again, that's not the point. I'm not even arguing benefits. I need to know for myself how I'm going to feel off this sort of, let's not call it diet, because I don't like the word diet, let's call it protocol, right? So this sort of protocol where I'm highly, highly prioritizing having a high volume of my food, veggies, and fruits. And meat is for when I hunt down that big animal, and I'm like, man, it took us 5 days to get that animal, and so now we're gonna feast. And so that's what I'm kind of taking that same tack. That's what kind of feeds into what's made me look at meat at least differently. I've explained coffee. There's just a nice significance added to those sort of what I call like treats now. I think anyone that goes through fasting is gonna your impact on how you look at food is gonna change regardless. It may not change in the way it did for me, but it's gotta change. You're gonna realize, wait a minute, like, did I really not need to eat like as much as I did before? And I think I ate way too much. There's so many things out there that imply or make it seem as if you do really need stuff. You need an energy drink, you need an energy bar, energy this, you need pre-workout. You don't need any of this stuff. We're in a society of consumption, and so we have to really fight back and just be super, super aware for ourselves of the traps that are out there. That would be a third aspect how I looked at food differently. I was like, we don't actually need as much as it's available to us. There's a ridiculous amount of food available to us. It's crazy. Actually, craziest part is that most of it's not even real. It's literally not real. So, okay, did that make your routine change? So my routine, the food, my approach on food and my outlook on food approach changed my routine. Yeah, it did, I guess. When it comes to routine, is not necessarily about what you need to add or what you need to do. Like, a lot of times it's about what you need to remove, what you need to strip away, right? So that's what makes it like an effective routine. It's a lot of that classic cliche addition by subtraction. And so, how food plays into that is that I'm snacking a lot less. I already thought snacking, we already know about snacking, you don't want to snack, but I realized like I snacked even more than I thought I didn't snack. Like, in reality, I did snack. And so even though it sounds simple, like, oh yeah, Dave, you could just, have some like almonds while you're writing. No, it's a distraction. It's a break in concentration. It's a break in focus. My outlook on food has positively impacted my routine by keeping me more focused and more concentrated on the task at hand and not being distracted or think I need to attend to the first sign of my stomach speaking to me and saying, hey, like there's a little growl, it's time to feed it. No. Ideal calorie intake a day. So, no, it's a good question. There was a time where I was all about the macros, right? Like I had the whole fitness pal, and I'm talking about 7 years ago when I was really, really into it. How the breakdown between protein and carbs and fat, because it's so easy for me to lose weight. And usually my goal has been to gain weight. You need to be positive on the calorie side, and so you need to be consuming more calories than you're getting out, right? So, for me, that looked like 3,000 calories a day. Now, this was a few years ago, and this was based on that very simple, hey, you want to grow, more calories than in, than out. And I realized, I'm like, man, that's a lot of food. It's a lot of food. It's so much food. And I would get bigger, sure. I would get bigger, I'd get stronger, probably, yeah. But it wasn't because necessarily of all those calories. It wasn't because it was like, I was like, this became more of a job. 3,000 calories is a lot. Now I'm not really paying attention to that. I'm much more in tune with the needs of my body, that I have a nice feel for when I need to eat and how much I need to eat and when is enough. And when I used to think like, all right, I am stuffed. Like I'm like, and like I'm good. Yes. No, there's something's wrong there. And when I think about it, I'm like, probably my liver was overworked. I mean, it's not just the calories, man. It's like the protein too. I used to think like you need it's a classic 1 gram of protein per pound, right? Or even a little bit more than if you want to, repair muscle quicker and you want to get bigger or whatnot. Dude, if your liver is not in shape, that's not going to work, because then your liver is going to be just like, it's not going to be able to keep up with that, getting rid of all the excess protein if there is. Generally speaking, all else equal, you're in good health. If you have a lot of protein, a high protein diet, yeah, it may not affect you. But if there's other things going on in your body, you're not filtering things out the way you do, like your livers and your kidneys, that could be a problem for you. So, answer your question, used to be 3,000. Now I'm not really counting it, and I haven't in a while. I was obsessed with being 185. Like I was like, I've been at 170 for years, and I thought 185 is where, yeah, I'm gonna be all right. And right now I'm at 160, and I feel harder. I look like younger, and what I mean by that is like my skin is closer to my muscles. Like that's youth, is when your skin is much closer to your muscles and all the tissues inside you. There's less of that underlying thing, under the skin. Routine, there's a lot of discussion about routine, and I know it gets very cliche, like, oh, the most successful people have a routine, and they wake up at 4 a.m. and, they do X, Y, Z, right? So one of the things that we wanted to bust was the fact that you don't need to necessarily worry about the things that you need to do. You need to really focus on things that you don't need. So that way, when you realize the routine, you already know what you need to where your singular focus is gonna lie in. And so it's not only like knowing yourself, but it's also playing into your biology. And so there's biology involved, there's science involved here, and that is like the dopamine stuff, right? So like we as a society as a whole in general, we are crazy hopped up on dopamine in particular, right? Whether it's social media notifications, graphics, sports, movies, news, like there's like so many hits of dopamine. Just like our tongue has become desensitized by so much crazy scientifically enhanced, chemical enhanced flavors, so have our dopamine levels. And so resetting them is huge in order for you to find the pleasure in accomplishing the mundane. Like that's the key right there, because you can derive a lot of pleasure in that dopamine hit from crossing something off your to-do list. Like that's something we know too, but there's been such an overstimulation of stuff that I think either we've forgotten or we grossly underestimated the power of accomplishing a set of mundane tasks consecutively, consistently, to get to a reward. That reward is a sense of accomplishment. If you're able to reset your dopamine levels, understand really the things that you need to accomplish, do the mundane things in order to get those things accomplished, you're gonna find yourself continuously feeling rewarded. And you're gonna know that I'm on the right track, because my feeling is that way. Like my feeling is that I'm on the right track. And that leads to momentum. Momentum leads to amazing things. What kind of routine do I follow? So the routine that I try to follow, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that, hey, I have a bulletproof routine where I never fail. Like I don't do that to myself. My goal is to do the best that I can on a daily basis, and not beat myself up when things don't necessarily go my way or the way I planned it. Because guilt is horrific and nobody needs to feel that. The kind of routine that I have and I try to adhere to on a daily basis is, wake up when my body first wakes up. Like I always wake up regardless. It's just been like this since forever. I wake up like at 5, around that time. And regardless if it's been 4 hours of sleep or 8 hours sleep, usually it's never 8 hours, but the point is that, at that time when my body is naturally waking, I just need to be in the most rested state possible, because that is how I need to start the day off rested, decently rested. So it's waking up early, and that thankfully that's never been an issue for me. And have a glass of water right away. Again, something easy, just glass of water, boom, without thinking. For the last many months, can't tell you how long now, it's been so long, cold shower. I am scared of that shower every morning. I've done it for every day for months on end, and I still get in the shower naked, and it's not on yet, and I'm looking there. Sometimes I'm just thinking, or I think about other things, and I'm like, dude, stop thinking. Like, you're gonna do this anyway, so just do this now. And usually, it's done within a 5-minute time frame or something, but I still got to get better because I don't want to waste time. But I do the shower after the glass of water. I go back in. Now I do I write down, I use a 5-minute journal. I know it's a very popular method. It's an actual book. It's called a 5-minute journal, and it's intended to be something very easy where you can jot down your thoughts, what you're thankful for, the things that you want to accomplish for the day, what would make the day amazing. And so I put myself in that sort of mindset by writing those thoughts down with the help of the 5-minute journal. Then I stretch, and then I take a walk. I do those things, and I have varying levels of feeling about it on a daily basis. Some days I'm more gung-ho than other days, but I need to do it, because keeping your word to yourself, the worst person you can lie to is yourself. So I got to keep that commitment, and those simple things, I get those things done. I feel better. I feel much better about myself. I'm like, you know what? I set out what I was going to do in the beginning. The rest of the day, I got plans, but work can sometimes be unpredictable. But you know what's not unpredictable? The thing that's already been done, and that means taking time for myself, to give myself a chance at taking on this day with a clear mind, a body that's been activated, right? And I'm ready to go. At night, I work backwards. So at night, I work backwards because I gotta be in bed by 10. Ideally, I'm in bed by 9:30, asleep by 10. That's the ideal scenario. It sounds like crazy, because it sounds like something I would do when I was 7, 8 years old. It's been so long since, I've slept, it's like 9 o'clock bedtime type of thing. But, at night, I work backwards. So if I want to go sleep by 10, dinner's got to be by 7. So I work in those ways where, knowing that I don't want to have food too close to bed, and my bedtime's 10, so dinner's got to be no later than 7. And so dinner's at 7. There's a shower, there's some sort of attention to myself, a shower, that relaxation, and some reading. Definitely try to be off the screens as much as I can. Doesn't happen every night, for sure, but yeah, that's where the effort goes into. So those are the main things at night. Just get to bed at a decent hour. Don't go to bed overstimulated. Parts of my routine that I want to add or that I've removed. That I want to add. No. So like I mentioned, the key to a successful routine is in the simplicity, right? It's like, in beauty, there's simplicity, or in simplicity, there's beauty. It can go both ways, right? So I don't want to add anything to my routine. Remove maybe things that I want to clean up. I think the only things that I want to maybe enhance as far as my routine, not add or remove, is just doing things quicker. Like the example about, committing every single day to the cold shower, but still not having that, still not at a point where I'm literally, as soon as I go into the bathroom, I walk into that shower, not even a thought. It's like that. I'm still, it's cold, or you gotta do this later, and they kind of fall into that distraction. So I just want to be more refined in the execution of my routine. Your routine, it becomes your ritual, right? And then we associate rituals with what? Rituals with religion or some sort of practice like that, some belief system. And so, my belief system has like everyone's belief system, strong, weak or not, everyone has a belief system. That belief system is made up of personal experiences, personal relationships, your mistakes, all the lessons that you've learned. Those make up your beliefs based off of, whatever set of principles you have for yourself. However, the difference is, as far as what makes beliefs into a system, into something where creates your identity. I think your beliefs are part of your identity or your ego. Those come from, the experience of proving yourself, right? The experience of avoiding temptation, really saying, like, looking temptation in the eye and avoiding it, right? In all forms, exceeding your own expectations. We come across so many different tests on a daily basis, moment to moment. It's insane how often we're tested. And sometimes we're not ready to meet the test. Why? Because it's like a pop quiz. We didn't even realize it was coming. So, those pop quizzes, they burn me for sure. And they burn, in school, and they burn me through life. But now I've learned to recognize, okay, this is a test. And so all those things make up your belief system. I'm like, I've done this before. I believe that I can overcome these things. I believe in myself because I've been in circumstances before in which I've been able to survive or even thrive off. And one thing that I always try to remind myself of, or I do remind myself of, and I hope you can remind yourself of too, because I think it's something really, really helpful, and that is that, draw strength in knowing that your circumstances are temporary. Draw strength in knowing that your circumstances are temporary. Do you think people generally look at their belief system honestly? No. I think a lot of people, I've been guilty of it. It's hard to recognize, but we lie to ourselves so much. It's so easy to lie to ourselves. The worst person you can lie to is yourself. I mean, forget about lying to other people. I mean, if you're lying to other people, it's almost like you're not even, you should be more proud of what you do, even if it's the wrong thing. Like, even if you do something that you know is wrong, own it. Whatever, just be like, what? Okay. So, but it's bad when you lie to yourself. I mean, it's only you and you. But I don't think people do that intentionally. People don't do that intentionally. In this era of convenience, it's just easier to tell yourself a different story. It's just easier to give yourself a different reason for why things happen the way they do. It's easier to deflect, avoid. Avoidance is big. I think people would benefit from, the exercise of self-awareness. You're self-aware, you have a better shot of not lying to yourself. But the more, I think, the greater amount of self-awareness you're able to get, which requires a lot of listening to yourself, listening to others, being open to feedback, criticisms, putting yourself in other people's perspectives, being open to perspectives, having the humility, knowing that you don't know. I mean, all those things will give you an opportunity to create a strong belief system. The worst thing you can do, and which seems to be an affliction in society, is adopting somebody else's belief system. Let me say it again. The worst thing, I lied. The worst thing is not lying to yourself. It is really bad. But even probably worse is just even going ahead and just adopting somebody else's belief system or adopting an ideology that's out there, because it's not you, it's not original, it's easy. And again, but it's understandable. It's understandable. It's the human condition. There's two aspects to it. One is the fact that it's easy, right? And two, when you adopt an ideology, you have suddenly found some significance. Like, I'm going to adopt a position or a belief into something that has, being discussed or that is out there that I've seen from others. I'm going to adopt that position or adopt that ideology. And you know what? That's going to make up my identity. It's going to give my presence and it's going to give my presence significance. It's going to give me purpose. And that's very fleeting. So that's why I think it's bad to adopt another belief system. And the other thing is that, and why it's easy to do so, or why it's convenient because of how easy it is to do, but also because, we're naturally social animals, which makes us different from other animals. What makes humans different is the social aspect of our species. And so, if you're adopting an existing belief system or an existing ideology, chances are there are other people that have also adopted it as well. And so being part of a group, a tribe, a congregation, a cult, a team, whatever it is, a party, is very appealing. Because people come from okay, I'm amongst, like-minded people, and I don't have to, I mean, the other end of that is just being, I guess, just, someone that has to maybe is ostracized, or, someone that has to kind of buck conventional wisdom, and that takes courage. So, and courage is not in abundance, that's for sure. So how do you create your own? Wouldn't you say the people around you influence that? How do you create your own belief system? I mean, creating a belief system is not, a 1, 2, 3 step procedure. So there's no guidance. It's going to come down to experience. And that sounds like, oh, all right, David, what do you mean, like experience? But experience in the uncomfortableness, in order for people to become believers, right? To believe something, usually something like traumatic has to happen. Dramatic, something impactful has to happen in order for someone to, quote, see the light, right? So you're gonna shelter yourself, you're not gonna take those chances, you're not gonna, go explore a different job or leave, a certain relationship, family or otherwise, or you're not gonna do the tough things. You're never gonna give yourself a chance to have conviction in something. And, that's where you that's where you build your beliefs, based off of your experiences and how you handle those experiences and the conviction you have behind the way you handle it, right or wrong. Those things I think make up a belief system. I think a key aspect of that is also having a set of principles, guiding principles for yourself. For me, I mentioned them, right? So I talked about, overcoming obstacles, proving yourself to yourself. So I'm always going to continuously find ways to prove myself to myself. I need to know that I can do it. And so I'm going to find situations where it's going to be uncomfortably difficult because I haven't pushed myself to that limit. And so it's avoiding temptation. It's a confronting challenge. I mean, I know these things seem like, yeah, whatever, but how often we avoid stuff? We avoid conversations, we avoid tough decisions, we push off things, procrastinate, just kick it down the road. So to me, those are some of the things that make up my system. Like I mentioned, and I have them sort of listed because these are my guiding principles: exceeding expectations, passing the test, paving my path. I'm going to do it the way I want to do it, the way I believe in it, and nobody's going to tell me otherwise. I believe in this path, so I'm going to create it because, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. At least I'm going to know I knew for myself. And then, like any path, like any good path, right, is a path with boundaries, right? So, for me, the belief system is if there isn't some sort of like support, value, love, really genuine stuff, there's really no time for that entity, and I say entity because it could be a person, it could be a thing, an organization, there's no, those are the boundaries, right? Like, no. And that's very tough for a lot of people. It's tough to set boundaries for a lot of people. And I know that's like another common like talking point, setting boundaries, but setting boundaries is just, it's not a matter of like telling people no, no, no. It's just more like telling yourself yes, yes, yes. I know it was really corny to do that, but I had to go for that one. But it's true. It's like you're saying more yes to you and no to others that fall into that category of not supporting you, not loving you, and not that it's a one-way street. I mean, not that you need to be receiving that, but you know what I mean. There is an exchange that happens between people that are genuinely supporting you, and don't get it twisted. Hey, listen, you don't choose family. You don't choose family. You don't choose your parents. You don't choose your brothers and sisters, your cousins, your uncles and aunts. You don't choose those people. Those people are in our lives to teach us lessons, right? That's what I believe. I believe they've been put in place, these very annoying people. You know what I mean. To teach us lessons. To have compassion and love for people that you may not get along with. This is very common. That's the challenge. Friends are people you choose, and so of course you're gonna love them and you're gonna care about them because you chose them. So that's not really the lesson there for friends. Friends, you want to cherish them. Friends, you want to cherish friends, and you want to have beautiful friendships, and you want to prioritize them, right? So because those are the people that are really supporting you. I'm trying to differentiate here, like what could be the value of the different groups of people in your life. For when it comes to family, my belief is that good or bad, they're there to teach you lessons in your life lessons, to be, I think, compassionate about a certain type of people. Friends are there to get you through life, to probably shine those lessons for you. Shout out both to family and friends. Striking a balance between creation and consumption. This has been an interesting one for me because, I just, because you hear so much about creators, creative juices, consumer economy, consumption, consumer price index. Like I don't know, I think those are the things I think about. It's hard to devote energy to both practices of creating and consuming. Usually it's like one or the other. And I realized for me that, man, I've been consuming a lot in my life. And things have been consuming me, interestingly. And there's like some kind of like perverted thing that happens when you consume a lot of things. In actuality, it's consuming you. You think you have control over it. It has control over you. And I'm talking about the consumption and things that are not great for you. I'm talking about, whether it's like TV or overindulgence in food, consumption of gossip, of celebrities, like, man to man, like, caring about what another man does, who you have no idea who he is. Like the absurdity behind talking about celebrities. I don't know. I realize how absurd that is. That's crazy, because gossip is like stereotypically associated with like women, but men, guys that are talking about like athletes and like what LeBron's doing or things. There's something that I realize now. I was one of those guys. Like I would do that. Like I would take part in that sort of gossip. It's gossip. I was consuming all that stuff, and at some point I realized, what the hell's going on here? Why does this even matter to me? It doesn't at all. It's literally totally distracting me. They and whatever that entity is showing me is like getting the upper hand on me. They are getting my attention. I'm paying them my attention. And now I have a lot more worth as to where my attention goes. And so now, instead of just giving my attention freely and giving my attention to things that are not moving the needle, I'm instead just focusing my attention and concentration on the creation aspect of it. And that's a different mechanism, that you have to flip or turn on. And once you do, though, I mean, it can be a very rewarding process. And I'm talking about creation in all aspects, because, again, it's not just about business. I'm talking about creator and, these things, for example, like in a business sense, or I'm talking about creating loving relationships, creating a space for your family to thrive in, creating value for your fellow man, right? And how do you create value? Some people farm, I don't know, they raise food. Some other people fix things. Some people, will sell goods and services, right? Or other people will tell stories. Other people will share information. They'll break that. There's so many different ways to generate value and become a very, serviceable cog or component to your community. And so I think striking that balance between creation and consumption is huge. That has a significant impact on our psyche and our well-being. Constantly in consumption mode not only does you a disservice, not only are you wasting away the abilities of your concentration and the value and worthiness behind your attention, you're probably also shorting the people around you that you love, and they're not getting your attention either. This is a terrible thing too. It happens a lot between couples as well. There is a collaborative effort in not paying attention to one another, right? Like you could have two people in a room, and what I'm talking about is just like watching the screen, whatever is in the screen, but like it's together but not. It's like being in the same room or being on the phone, right? It's like you're gone. Thanks a lot. This was awesome, and I look forward to continue doing this. And feel free to subscribe, please, to my YouTube channel. I'm getting that up and running. I'm really excited for a lot of the content I put up. The how to break the 7-day fast. That video is up. Thanks a lot. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. Have a great night. Bye-bye.